give me those Cheetos. Welcome to season 2, episode 5 of the SimStation Internet Football Podcast. I'm your host with not the most this season, but I believe the second least amount of wins, actually, Travioli. Here with my constant co-host, Alec White. How art thou?
I just spent about 30 minutes at Walmart pickup playing with my noodles, so I'm chilling, you know.
It's so weird because like up here there's like one Walmart. And I'm used to like Walmarts around like every fucking corner. God, why am I doing this during the show? This is okay. We're good.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There's like one Walmart, and so it's easier. It's genuinely, it's almost faster for me to order things in the morning than for me to actually drive there and get them, which is really sad. Okay. Anyways, y'all aren't here to listen to a retail shopping podcast. You're here to listen to a fantasy. I mean, maybe you are. I don't know. That'd be kind of weird. But you're probably here to listen to a fantasy football podcast, where we're playing fantasy football.
Fantasy football. Wait. Football. Wait. I don't know.
Brother. Oh, God.
Oh, no, it's fantasy football. There
you go.
I had it right the first time.
We're still on a streak of neither of us winning in the same week. That's pretty cool.
Wait, really?
Yeah. I only have 2 wins, and you lost this week, and you lost week 2.
God damn it.
Hopefully we'll change that streak at some point. Yeah, it's been about 2 weeks since we did a podcast. I was busy as absolute fucking balls last weekend. Or all of last week, so it was not. But hopefully we got some killer content for you. A quick update, because I know I'm gonna forget. In our pick'ems. So the last time we did pick'ems, or was the last time I forgot to count the scores previously? It was just you and I. We were actually both 2 and 4 that episode.
Oh,
really
damn.
rough.
That's tough.
Interestingly, I picked Biz over you if Joe Burrow plays. He played and she lost. You picked Dalton over B-Way if Aaron Jones played. He played and he lost. So
wow,
we
we're
both conditionally fucked ourselves. But and then week 4, I went 5 and 1. You went 4 and 2, and Reeves went 3 and 3.
Wow,
so all time that puts you at 10 and 8, I think. That puts me at 4, 8, 9 and 9. Reeves at 3 and 3, and Banglewood at 2 and 4. So just a fun little coming back.
That's pretty cool. I appreciated it.
Yeah. Also, fuck week 5. We just kind of looked at like, should we talk about this? It was kind of boring. So I think we're just going to jump straight into week 6.
Week 6.
What did you think the most interesting matchup of week 6 was?
I mean, Dalton got his first win over Beans, which I don't think anybody saw coming. It was a lot of it aided by the trade that Banglewood and him did, because Chuba Hubbard scored 15. Also, he got a garbage time touchdown from Salvin Ahmed. So, I mean, and Dak finally showed up for him to clinch the W on Monday night. So he got on the board.
Yeah, I think it's really good for him, because mostly for a few players. I mean, Kyle Pitts on the bench is finally looking like a real human being. And more importantly, Drake London, I think, is a real wide receiver 2. I mean, on his team is a flex, but like on a lot of teams, it's going to be like a wide receiver 2, I think, going forward. And then Chuba Hubbard.
Turns out when you throw a really good player the ball, he scores points.
Crazy. Yeah, I was really happy for Dalton, obviously getting his first win. On the other side, Banglewood losing a game. Finally, we've been kind of like, I feel like we have been. I listened to one of our episodes back today to try and get the scores, and I think we've been negging Banglewood for like 3 straight weeks now, and he's just kept winning.
I know.
Until this week.
It's crazy.
and he still put up a respectable
I
score.
know.
He's the only manager averaging over 100 points a game. I think Becca's really close, but
Yeah, he's
yeah,
still the highest scoring team in the league. I mean, he does have the lowest points against by a lot, but I mean, you can't really be upset at him being 5-1 when he's the highest scoring team. So
yeah, it's hard to ever smack talk. He has, I mean, really good waiver pickups, right? Like Zach Moss. Um, I don't. It's like Zach Moss is like keeps being better than he should be. Kenneth
yeah,
Gainwell keeps being shit, and it just doesn't matter. And I'm like very confused.
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, I feel like Kenneth Gainwell has just completely lost his job to DeAndre Swift, and it's really tough for Banglewood because he got fucked so hard by injuries. I mean, early in the season, he could have. I mean, Jeff Wilson is probably going to get activated. Maybe he gets worked into the rotation in Miami because they just score 1,000,000 points every game. Uh, he has Kareem Hunt, who had a good week last week, and he could potentially become something that would help him a lot. But I think Zach Moss is gonna get phased out for Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is clearly the better player overall. So as he gets worked out and Jonathan Taylor gets worked in, I think Zach Moss will keep falling off. But for now, he's been doing really good for him.
yeah, I think unfortunately, well, maybe it's fortunate. I don't know. He's gonna end up relying a lot on Najee Harris, which is not really where you want to be.
No,
Uh,
yeah, I completely forgot about that,
yeah, that was the
and
other side of that trade that he and Dalton made.
yeah,
I think he's probably regretting giving up Chuba Hubbard right now. At
yeah,
least for now. I mean, I think this is a move geared towards playoffs. Where I think if Miles Sanders comes back, Chuba Hubbard's value is going to go back to zero, like it was, and Najee will have at least some value at that point. Well, Dalton is just looking for wins right now, so I think the trade kind of makes sense.
yeah. It made sense. It's just tough with Najee because the first however many 5 games he looked bad, and Jalen Warren just looked like the better running back in pretty much every game. So it's going to be interesting to see how the timeshare works out.
Yeah, I think this is a weird game too. I mean, Terry McLaurin had 11 targets and only 6 catches. Mike Evans had 10 targets and only 4 catches. I
Yeah,
don't know if that's how you'd expect. I mean, it's like 50% target catching by them. Like that seems a little weird.
it's a little low, but it
And Jake Elliott
happens.
only had 2 points. So on the other side, Spencer's still looking like one of the better teams in the league. Cooper Cup is just a fucking god again. It looks like he didn't even miss a game. Um, Alvin Kamara is not very efficient, but and he's at 24, 25, and 26 touches the last 3 games since coming back, which is just insane. Huh.
Derek Carr's looks at one receiver. If it's not there, he's like, "Here you go, Alvin.
I
Run with
know.
it."
He looks at Michael Thomas and then looks at Michael Alvin Kamara. I'm like, hey guys, remember this
Ripple.
Olave? Yeah. I think Spencer's been able to overcome his quarterback, whatever the fuck is going on in Cleveland. I don't really get it.
Yeah, dude, that whole situation is crazy. He gets medically cleared to play and then doesn't play, and then now is saying "Oh, I don't know when I'm gonna come back." I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah,
He got his money, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm good sitting on the bench."
I'm a little upset because it was definitely my goal once I saw that he may not be coming back for a while. I was like, maybe I can give him Anthony Richardson, try to get some James Conner action back, and then Anthony Richardson's out for the season. So great job. Over. Um,
Yup.
what else for this week stood out to you?
I mean, my matchup versus Steele was kind of close until Josh Allen just shit his pants against the New York Giants, and then that kind of just ruined it. But other than that, I mean, Travis Etienne for Steele has been a lot better than I expected, a lot better than most people expected. He has 7 touchdowns or something, maybe more. I don't remember, but he's just been going off.
It's another one of those things where, like, I think we talked about this last episode with Jameer Gibbs and Dalton Kincaid, where like teams like use draft picks on players that don't do anything. I think a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people, based on the hype that Tank Bigsby got and how inefficient Travis Etienne was in the red zone last year, they're like, okay, makes a lot of sense. Bigsby gets the goal line carries. But I feel like Etienne has never been in the red zone. He just scores like every time he scores a touchdown, it's like 30 yards out.
True.
And I think he's running back 3 or 2 on this season. And it's like he's just because we negged him both in the first episode. We were like, oh, I don't know about
Yeah.
Steele, and turned out to be a great pick. And I think he's the biggest reason why Steele is in such a high spot and one of our best teams in the league.
Yeah, I mean, another big reason is his other running back, DeAndre Swift. That was a great draft pick. Like, I mean, it really, really pains me to say that DeAndre Swift is a running back 1 on the season so far.
That's brutal. Um, yeah, I mean, Steele is just still looking good. This week was like really low in scoring all around.
Yeah, and there was a massive, like, there were so many injuries this week.
Yeah,
It was, like, so many waiver pickups this week went through, and I mean, Christian McCaffrey for me might not play. David Montgomery for Steele. There's so many running back injuries. It's been tough.
I did see a stat that at this point last year there was like 345 touchdowns in the league, and currently there's like 270.
Oh my
So
god.
scoring is like crazy far down, um, for various reasons, I guess. That is not for this podcast. This is a fantasy football podcast. I think Becca is the other. We've tried to place Becca's team for weeks now. Like we keep saying, like I feel like we've said multiple times, almost every episode actually, that like, oh, I really like Becca's team. She's on the rise. She got a good win against Reeves this week, but she's still 3-3. She lost arguably her best player in Kyron Williams, or best running back. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but that's not looking great for her. I still think her team's pretty good. It's just going to be how can she fill that void. I mean, she has uh, Jerome Ford on the bench, which is nice, but
Yeah. Yeah, losing Kyren for at least a week, maybe multiple, is definitely a big hit. But Jamar Chase has done a lot better the last few weeks. Jalen Waddle has done a lot better the last few weeks. So her team has definitely picked up the slack that it was kind of lagging behind early in the season. But she's the highest scoring 3-3 team right now, so she's looking pretty good if she can survive the Kyren injury.
yeah, the Patrick Mahomes thing is kind of weird to me. He's
He
I
he's
don't know what
looked
to think.
Yeah, I was looking at like power rankings earlier today, and so many power rankings still have the Chiefs at like number 2 or number 3. And I mean, they're still good, and Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes, but like they have not looked that good this year. Especially Pat Mahomes has not looked that good this year. Like the Jets game, he got outplayed by Zach Wilson. That was probably one of the worst games, maybe the worst game Pat Mahomes has ever played. And then uh, the next week, like last week, last week they played Denver, who just had got scored 70 points on, really really bad defense, and they only scored 19 points. So it's been a weird first 6 weeks for Mahomes. I mean, you'd like to think he will pick it back up because he's Pat Mahomes, but it's been a little weird.
Yeah, and it's like he started the season pretty strong. The first 3 weeks against like even that, and like, but it's the last few weeks. It's been so slow. He's had a pretty easy schedule in terms of like how defenses do. Like he's played some easy fucking defenses: Minnesota, Chicago, Denver, Jacksonville. I mean, the Jets are the only like Jets and Detroit have pretty good defenses,
Yeah.
but like that's 2 out of your 6 games.
Yeah.
And he's like 11-5 on the season, touchdown interception. It's really
Hey, everybody was clowning me for picking Josh Allen over this guy. But I'm just saying Josh Allen's QB1 on the season.
when I made the comments in our preseason episode, I acknowledge that Josh Allen is this god at the beginning of every fucking fantasy season. Issues at the end.
Yeah,
Where
well,
he's like, oh, I tweaked my shoulder. Time to have a
hey,
7 point average drop.
he did hurt his shoulder last week, so don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
On the other side, I guess Reeves had a really rough week. He wasn't really missing. I mean, he was missing Christian Watson, I guess. But like he was, and Jameer Gibbs.
Yeah, but Jameer Gibbs hasn't really been a whole lot the whole season.
Yeah,
But he picked up DeMercado, who, I mean, people thought he was going to be the number one for Arizona, and he was not. Puka, his Lord and Savior, didn't really perform. Had his first pretty bad game. I don't know what to think really about Puka, because I mean, we've seen it so many times where when Cooper Kupp is in the game, Matt Stafford will throw him the ball 20 times a game, and that just leaves so little to be like spread out to everybody else, I guess. So I'm not sure what to think about him rest of the season.
yeah. I was actually listening back on our other episode where we talked about how it's highly likely, or it's we thought that Tutu Atwell could have more value than Puka. Um, that has not been true. But yeah, I think it's a good sign he got 7 targets still in a game that Cooper Kupp was dominating. I mean,
Yeah,
like 4 catches for 26 yards is really low for his yards per catch too.
true.
Um, so I think you still give him. I think you ride it a little bit longer, see if he's like for real or not. I mean, he was so dominant at the beginning of the season. I feel like you can't just get up after one bad game.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. He's definitely not sitting him, especially with the receivers he's got on the bench, because it's not great down there. But he should be fine.
Yeah, and like realistically, Puka's probably his flex player anyways. If Christian Watson comes back and is okay, although the
Yeah,
Packers have been kind of awful. Um,
Packers have been weird. Like, they didn't play last week, so it's like, but the few weeks before that, their games have been, they either get blown out or get blown out early and then make some miracle comeback at the end. And Jordan Love has not been what everybody expects. Jordan Love was kind of similar to, I've kind of felt similarly to about him as I did Justin Fields coming into the season, because everybody was like, oh yeah, Justin Fields is going to make this amazing improvement, and everyone was like, Jordan Love's going to step right in for Aaron Rodgers. I was like, I don't know about that. And he's been, I mean, he hasn't been terrible, but he has not been as good as people wanted him to be.
I think there was a lot of hype after the first 2 games. I think he was six. I think he was 6 touchdowns, either 0 or 1 picks. I mean, he like looked pretty good. One of
Yeah.
those was against the Bears defense, and I think we kind of overrated that performance. Um, the other was against Atlanta's defense, who's good but nothing special. And like you saw in the New Orleans game, like he had a great fourth quarter, and that's everything was terrible. Detroit, he was horrendous. And then 2 weeks ago, he was pretty bad too. So I don't know, but yeah, I think
Yeah.
Christian Watson's going to lose a lot of value off that, and I think Reeves has some serious roster issues. Reeves, I put you at number 2. Please help.
Yeah. I mean, the closest matchup, moving on from that one, the closest matchup this week was Biz versus Burt,
It definitely came
with
down to the wire.
a 3-point gap. Literally, if the Giants scored to anybody but Darren Waller, if they scored that touchdown at the end of the game, Brett would have won, based on Biz losing 3 points from the Bills' defense. But it didn't happen because they're the Giants, and they don't score on offense.
I mean, realistically, if Brett's quarterback played the whole game, Biz also would have lost.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get those wins, you take those. I think we're looking for takeaways from this. Brees Hall looks incredible. I think it's the last several weeks. I doubted this pick so hard because I thought we'd get good Brees Hall, but not until the end of the season.
Yeah,
And I
same.
mean, Dalvin Cook was not good. They were like he was complete fool's gold at the beginning of the season. I saw a stat like I think it was when they were against Denver. they showed the efficiency stats and the like all running backs with like over 20 carries. Brees Hall was first and Dalvin Cook was last. It was like, oh,
Yep.
okay. Yeah, and that's not a good offensive line. Brees Hall is just good. Like even this week, like he was like 12 for 40 against Philly, who has a great run defense. But I mean, you got to score a touchdown. No, it's
And he got a lot of receiving yards, so
yeah, he's really
he
good.
he definitely looks like he's back. He's back to the explosive Brees Hall we saw in the first half of last year before his injury, and I mean, Brett definitely needs him. Like, he's got Tyreek, who is obviously he's just gonna do what Tyreek does, just score, get 100 yards and a touchdown at literally every single week. Calvin Ridley has been super hit or miss. I mean, I don't know if you, I mean, he definitely is. He's been a disappointment for the Jags, I think, thus far into the season. Like, he's had 2 good games and a few games where he just had really bad drops, really dumb decisions, like dumb penalties and stuff like that. So I don't know. He's been a pretty big disappointment in my eyes.
I think it's weird because I think the Houston game was atrocious. Like it was pathetic.
Yeah,
The Kansas City game wasn't great, but I felt like that was. I didn't feel as bad about that one as I did about the Houston game. Houston game
agreed.
was where he had like 3 drops and 2 penalties, just like for nothing. And then this week, I didn't feel like bad. I feel like teams are definitely treating him like a star, which is difficult. Um,
Yeah,
it's
that's true.
honestly it's kind of good for the team because Christian Kirk is good enough to
Christian Kirk has
exploit.
been eaten.
Yeah, like if you put a number 2 corner on Christian Kirk, he's good enough to like to win that matchup any day of the week.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think in fantasy, this is kind of the issue I have with picking him in the first place. And all the Jags was that like they have so many weapons, you never know who's going to be number one. And I think Evan
mm-hmm.
Ingram's kind of suffering from that as well, where like he doesn't get red zone targets. He doesn't.
Yeah,
He doesn't really. He gets like the same. He gets 8 targets almost every game. Actually, he has 8 targets in 4 of 6 games, which is like what?
that's weird.
Um, he gets some run after catch, but he doesn't really like. They don't use him well. I don't know. It's just that's a weird one. Um,
Yeah,
I think the other player of note to me in this one is James Cook. He was efficient, which is good for him coming back because he's had 2 rough weeks in a row, like just like in terms of being a good player. Against the Jacks, he was horrendous. I
yeah.
think he got hurt against the
He
Jags,
rushed for
maybe.
he rushed for negative yards against the Jags.
Yeah, and then against the Dolphins the week before, I think he scored a touchdown, but he was pretty bad
Yeah,
overall. So I think it's good for him to come back. The fantasy performance is kind of disappointing, and you never know with the Bills like if they're ever going to like truly rely on the ground game. I feel like we hear every year like, "Oh, we're going to run the ball more and take it off Josh Allen's hands if when we don't need them." It's like,
it's every year,
and then
bro.
it's fucking every time it's just Josh Allen bombing the ball like 50 yards down the field.
Yep.
Um, yeah,
There's one. Did we talk about all of them? Oh no, we didn't talk about you versus B-Way.
yeah, that was a matchup. BYU
You
is two
got
and
the
four.
dub.
BYU is 2-4 when the Dallas defense doesn't carry him. I mean, it's
Yep.
or it's 0-4 when the Dallas defense doesn't carry him.
Yeah,
Um,
I know what you meant.
uh, it's a tough one because I left a lot of points on the bench too, which is annoying. But realistically, I don't think either of these teams is winning a playoff game. I don't.
Damn.
I mean, I just don't. One, I made bets on tight end; they were terrible. Like that's that. So I have a massive, just like 0 on my fucking roster right now. And
Yeah.
I mean, I think Eckler's going to come back to form, so I think I'll win more games. But like
Oh
Damian
yeah.
Pierce has been incredibly disappointing every game. I don't even think it's him. Like I think it's the line. But he gets touches and just does not do anything with it.
He gets hit in the backfield like so often. It seems like.
Oh god, it's so annoying. And like I think my team is good, but not like unless Eckler starts exploding again and Adam Thielen is just randomly continues to be wide receiver 4 on the year or wide receiver 5, whichever one he is.
Dude, he's been insane.
Yeah, him. I mean, that's the weird thing is like Chris Olave is my fourth receiver in points. I put this in the chat earlier today. He's wide receiver 22, which is like it's a low end wide receiver 2 in theory, but like DJ Moore is wide receiver 4, Adam Thielen's wide receiver 5, and Pittman is like 16 or 17.
That's crazy.
Yeah, if only I had some fucking running backs. We'll see. I still have faith in this team. B-Way, on the other hand,
B-Way's going a hard 8th, a hard 12th. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, unless Jonathan Taylor can have a resurgence and Devontae Smith starts getting targets again, I mean, even then, like, I don't know, it's looking bleak.
Devontae Smith had his season lead in targets this week.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he had 11. He was
Jesus.
against the Jets' fourth string corner and couldn't do anything. But I think Jalen Hurts also just had a fucking meltdown in that game. So
yeah, he did.
I mean, a few good signs for BYU. This was Brock Purdy's worst, probably the worst game of his career. Actually, 100% the worst game of his career.
100%.
And like last week, he was dominant against another good defense. Like, and this Cleveland defense is insane,
dude. They're crazy.
So I think he does have I think Brock Purdy's still going to end up being a strong fantasy quarterback. We'll see if this statement holds true. The issue is as we start having bye weeks, BYU has absolutely no depth.
Yeah.
And there's a strong argument that outside of Brock Purdy and Jonathan Taylor, his best players are his defense and his kicker, which is normally not a great sign.
It doesn't help that JJ's out for 4 weeks, potentially more, so that's tough.
Yeah. That really. Josh Palmer looked pretty solid though this week. I mean, for what he is as a player, it's like 8 points is pretty much all you can ask for.
Yeah, I feel like he's probably a solid 8 to 10 point floor, like pretty much every week, just based on he's the only other receiver besides Keenan Allen. Because Quentin Johnson has been completely invisible. Like, I don't know what the fuck is happening there. Like, they draft that guy in the first round, and he's just bad.
Yeah. He also has Jacoby Myers. I really like. I mean,
he's getting so many looks from. Well, I guess it was from Garoppolo, but now Garoppolo's hurt again, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but he's been really good.
I'm interested to see how this works because it feels like every team has just been blanketing Devontae Adams. And so Jacoby Myers has been like getting a lot of good looks. Maybe against a rookie quarterback, Josh McDaniels has a little more to open up Devontae Adams instead of like relying on him to read the field and find a guy like Myers. I don't know. We'll see. I do not have high hopes for BYU's team. He plays Spencer this week, which is not a good matchup.
Oh, that's tough.
Speaking of this week, I think we should probably move on. We're kind of deep. What is your matchup of the week for this week?
Oh, Lord. I think, I don't know, probably Banglewood versus Becca will be the matchup of the week, but I'm going to go with the Super Bowl rematch of Beans versus Biz.
Okay.
Now, the projections are a little off because Biz has not put her waiver QB in yet since she has Joe Burrow on a bye, but once that's in there, she'll be a little closer on the projection. I mean, what? Beans has 6 questionable players on her roster. Jesus Christ. But other than that, if they all play and Biz's team plays, I'm pretty sure Debo's going to play. I don't think his injury last week was super bad, so I think he's expected to play. I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah. Sam Howell.
Yeah, I mean, against the Giants, they haven't been that great. I mean, they did kind of shut down Josh Allen, but that was a bit of a weird one. I don't know. Sam Howell's been pretty good for fantasy despite not being super great in general.
Yeah, that's true. Outside of that weird Buffalo game where he was like 0-4. I think a lot of this matchup is going to depend on Mostert because this dude is just inconsistent as all fucking hell. I mean, he got 7 carries against the Bills 3 weeks ago, but in the last 4 weeks had a 41-point game and a 32-point game. Achane's out, which helps a
Touchdowns.
little bit with the consistency. Achan, sorry. Achan.
Chan.
Uh,
Pretty sure
but
Monster has like 11 touchdowns
yeah, and like I think
through 6 games.
2 games, I think.
Yeah. That is insane.
Yeah, he's running back 2 on the year, which is fucking wild. I don't think he's going to be that good this week. Philly's defense is really good against the run.
Yep.
Like they haven't been great against the pass, but like they bought it up Brees Hall this week, and Brees Hall's a little better than Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, I think his points will heavily depend on if he gets a touchdown. Like if he doesn't get a touchdown, he'll probably be sub 10, but if he does, then he'll be above his projection.
Then Saquon's coming back. He played this week, got a ton of work, and wasn't very effective. Washington's defense is probably worse than Buffalo's. Maybe I don't know.
Pretty close.
I don't know.
She has Dallas Goedert against Miami, who basically print points for the tight end position as long as he plays. I didn't even know he was injured, so I don't know what that looks like. But if he plays, he could get good points. On the other side, AJ Brown has been going crazy the last few weeks, and against same game against Miami, Miami's defense is paper, so he will score.
Yeah, it's pretty likely. But unfortunately, Biz does have James Cook against New England, which
That's
has
a
not been a
tough
good
matchup.
defense all year. I mean, yeah, again, we talked about Sam Howell. I don't know, Darren Waller is going to get passes from Tyrod Taylor. It's not a great, not a great look. However, Buffalo's defense against New England could be like a 30-point.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
Mac Jones. Well, it might not even be Mac Jones, but it might be
Malik
Will
Cunningham
Greer.
or Will Greer or fucking Bailey Zappi. Who the fuck knows?
Dude, they're running the ball at least 40 times.
The Bills are going to feast on that shit. I don't know.
Yeah, the more I look, I guess Biz has Derrick Henry on bye, but the more I look at this team, the more I'm like, how is she 4-2?
It's a little weird. She did get she got a real lucky win against Dalton, a really close win against Brett.
Yeah, she's been getting the fantasy gods on her side apparently.
Yeah, her best wins against she beat B-Way, Becca, Dalton, and Brett. So really, she has like one like solid win in there against Becca.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Waddle missed that game. So, anyways, yeah, that's kind of the reason why I wasn't that excited about this matchup. Even though it is the Super Bowl rematch, it's like kind of hype. I really don't know about Business Team. I assume we're both picking Beans in this one.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely going to.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming all of the players in her lineup are playing, the ones that are questionable, because pretty sure they're all supposed to. But I think Beans.
Yeah, I think Beans can probably afford an injury, realistically.
Yeah.
Let me write this down. So I'll have to go fucking episode to get Yeah, I am. I think the matchup of the week though is Banglewood versus Becca. I know it's the other one you alluded to. We've been shit talking Banglewood's team for a while. He finally was taken down. A team finally scored like over a 110 against him. Yep. And he faces Becca, whose team is kind of on fire right now. I mean, even without Kyron Williams, we kind of talked about it earlier. Like, he's been such a big part of her wins, but I still think she's a strong team despite that.
Yeah, it's going to be a little tougher this week because she has Jamar Chase on a bye. She has DeAndre Hopkins on a bye. Kyron Williams is out. So she has to start Curtis Samuel, which is definitely not ideal. I have never been a huge fan of Rashad White. We talked about this one of the previous podcasts. I mean, Atlanta's defense isn't great, but Rashad White is also not great. Jerome Ford against Indy could be good. Popping a cold one over there. I mean, and then playing the Philly defense against Miami, they might get negative.
I think this is the worst in the matchup of the week. This is the worst crew of running backs that has been in a matchup so far. And maybe if Becca played B-Way without Jonathan Taylor, maybe that one was worse. But
maybe,
even then, she's had Kyren Williams the whole year. I mean, really, outside of Kenneth Walker's been great. But outside of KW and Zach
Moss, Kareem Hunt, and Rashad White.
Like maybe Zach Moss will be good. I don't know. Like I have no idea when Jonathan Taylor is gonna get back.
I think even if Zach Moss gets a good amount of work, they're against Cleveland. I think there's no way he has a good week. But they also 2 weeks ago played against Tennessee, who has a really great run defense. Zach Moss went the fuck off against them, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean 7 carries is not a good sign. They were down the whole game, obviously. Gardner Minshew threw the ball 55 times. It's not like Jonathan Taylor did a lot either.
Yeah.
And he has Tua against Philly's defense. That is, I mean, Zach Wilson did okay. Shouldn't Tua be able to do okay?
Philly's secondary has been definitely the worst part of their defense. If Tua can get some protection from his O-line, I mean, because the D-line of the Eagles is what's scary. They get a lot of sacks. They stuff the run. So if he can get time, I think that the Dolphins will score just because they're like one of the best offenses to ever play.
Yeah, I think Bengalwood has a really low floor this week.
Oh, yeah.
Tua gets sacked a few times. Terry McLaurin is inconsistent as fuck. Amon-Ra St. Brown I think he's probably the highest floor player on this team. He does well. Let's just say he gets one of his 11-point weeks. Kareem Hunt doesn't get the ball. Zach Moss doesn't get the ball. Mark Andrews has been he hasn't been bad, but he's been insanely touchdown reliant.
The Ravens' offense has been bad.
Yeah, that's true. He's been so touchdown reliant. It's like I don't really trust Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
And then kicker, and he's playing Miami's defense, which is bad, against Philly's offense, which is good normally. So
that is probably the lowest projection for a defense I've ever seen. It's 3.6.
Oh God!
I mean, he's sticking to his Miami guns, but good lord, that is bad.
You could never deny Bengals fandom. His sanity, sometimes.
Last thing about this, I mean, Becca does have Pat Mahomes against the Chargers defense, and the Chargers defense is not very good. So he could go off. And for pick'ems, I've been calling for Bengalwood's downfall for the last 3 weeks. I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm picking Becca.
Man, I have a feeling we're both gonna pick Becca, and Bengals gonna win some fucking one. He's gonna somehow score 120 points, and Becca's gonna score 69, and then we're all just fucking oh great, Becca would win another fucking game. I'm picking Becca as well. I hope it's a good one. Bengalwood's gonna like that people are doubting him, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, he's gonna eat this up.
I'm gonna bring us next to Spencer, our number 2 team against BUA. We've talked about BUA having some issues, like his currently active defense being on bye week, but
his carry is not playing.
Yeah, his carry's not playing.
That's a problem.
But I'm more interested in this matchup just to see Spencer put up points. I kind of like that he took Matt Stafford with Cooper Kupp. I think it's just, just stack up the points. And then yeah, I mean Kamara's been good. Stevenson's been good. Well, Stevens not so much. So it's had a
Not
good
he's
week
not
this
been great.
week,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I don't know why I'm so curious about this team. I rank them super low. I still don't know if they should be that good, but they are.
I
And
mean, despite Stevenson being not great and James Conner being on IR, he still has solid running backs, and Keenan Allen has been a huge success this week. I mean, this year. Uh, I don't remember exactly what wide receiver number he is, but he's definitely in the top 12.
he's top 12,
Uh,
but he's had a bye week. So
yeah,
yeah, the top is by points. He's one of the highest in points per game in
for
the
sure.
league.
And then, I mean, Kansas City's defense against the Chargers, probably not the best matchup, but it should be fine. Like, it won't kill him.
I don't know. I'm just curious to see if this team comes back down to earth because like part of me does not like it, and then part of me is like, well, he's like fourth in scoring. He just he upset Bengal Wood was the first one to break the curse. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Cup's great. I don't know. It's like I have the ick. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe I'm still salty that he drafted 6 running backs in his first 9 picks, but I just have the ick. I don't get it.
yeah. I mean, even if you have the ick on this team, there's, I feel like there's next to zero chance he loses to the Cam cancelers.
Yeah, I mean, Rashid Shaheed and Joshua Kelly being in your starting lineup is generally not good for your team. I also so side note, I picked up Joshua Kelly in my other league when Eckler got injured. So I was like, oh, okay, it's like and they keep projecting Joshua Kelly at like 6 to 9 points when he was starting, and his only good game was when Eckler played.
Yeah, the first week.
Yeah, and since then he has scored his best game was 6.5 points. Why the fuck does Yahoo project him at 5.75? It's just one of these things where it's like he's not good. He doesn't score. He's a backup. Why are we giving him 6 whole points? I don't.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
It's
Uh,
completely irrelevant, but it pisses me
I
off.
mean, I'm kind of surprised he's playing Rashid Shaheed over Josh Palmer, at least for now. I mean, Rashid Shaheed could definitely have a big play. 'Cause I feel like that's what he's been for the Saints, is a big bomb touchdown guy. Otherwise, he doesn't really do a whole lot. And against the Jags with Tyson Campbell out, he definitely could have that, but it's a risk for sure.
I kind of like Elijah Moore over Rashid Shaheed. It's a lower. It's a like Shaheed is the ceiling play, I think.
Yeah,
But I feel like I don't know. Maybe this is just. I feel like his floor is like nothing.
it's a zero. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, no, for two targets in a game twice is pretty bad. Elijah Moore like gets gadget work. He did have one carry for negative 20 yards against Baltimore, which was not great. But like,
that was tough.
I don't know. We'll see. It's really going to be can Purdy come back to form against the weak Minnesota defense? Can Jonathan Taylor, even in a really tough matchup, show up? And
Yep,
can BOA get some luck on his side? Unfortunately, that's just going to be a big part of it this week.
pretty much.
Uh, yeah, I'm more curious in this one about Spencer.
Yeah, just to see how he performs. But I'm picking Spencer.
Yeah, I'm also picking Spencer. Is there a game you want to talk about next?
Let's talk about me versus Reeves. It's projected to be pretty close. I think it probably will be pretty close. I've got a few questionables. I'm very scared about Christian McCaffrey because he's the Monday night game and he might not play, and I don't know what I'm gonna do if he doesn't play. Because I mean, I probably just lose if he doesn't play. If I'm being honest, unless Josh Allen goes for like 40, but it's a little scary.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game is because I think y'all are two of the lingering, even though you're not top teams, like lingering as like potential top teams. I think Reeves playing Jameer Gibbs is always kind of scary because they've refused to ever let him participate in the game. And I think his other rookie running back, Bijan Robinson, who we did not expect to be a problem, has really cooled off since the beginning of the season. I think teams are kind of realizing that Desmond Ritter is not a threat and are really keying in on just like, don't let Bijan go crazy.
Yeah, it has been 6 games, and Bijan does not have a rushing touchdown. And he's against Tampa Bay this week, who has a pretty good run defense. But I'm going to say, I'm guaranteeing Bijan has a touchdown because he's against me. A rushing touchdown is going to happen because it's against me.
I don't know. I do like that they used him more as a receiver than they have at all last year, or last week. 8 targets is a fuckload. Yeah, I'm a little scared for Reeves. Um, Justin Herbert's against Kansas City. Their defense has actually been really good this year. I mean, they held the Lions to like 14 offensive points. You know, like that's. We already talked about Puka Nacua, how we don't really know how valuable he is right now. Although Pittsburgh's defense is kind of shit, so they could eat.
Yeah,
Jimmy Gibbs.
We do have the kicker on kicker matchup tomorrow night. It's going to be a banger. Love kickers.
Love kickers.
Honestly, Reeves, we should just whoever's kicker gets more points tomorrow night, that's who wins. Let's just bench everybody else. Kicker v kicker.
That would be so funny.
That would be kind of hype, but I would kill myself.
Mostly because I think the New Orleans kicker is gonna beat Manis, but in fantasy. Yeah, I think on your side, I mean, Sam Laporte has been really good for a tight end. His tight ends are shit. Who would have predicted Sam Laporte would be good? Except everyone when they fucking baby raged about your trade. 11 targets in 2 different games is pretty fucking good.
He had a pretty bad game last week, but otherwise he's been pretty good.
Well, he had 11 targets last week. He just didn't get catches.
Yeah.
I think the bigger story that I like on your team is Zay Flowers. Gonna have this feeling like, oh, he could be like a flex, even the wide receiver 2 coming into the year. But like, he's the only functional part of the Ravens offense, I think. The only part besides Lamar that actually looks like okay.
Mm-hmm.
He's good. He's really good. He got his first touchdown this week, which is really exciting.
Yeah, he might end up being my best receiver because my receivers are kind of garb. I mean, T. Higgins has been really disappointing, but he's on a bye anyways. Chris Godwin, Baker's been good, but he only throws to Mike Evans. So if Mike Evans is playing, it's a little rough. I think Marquise Brown, he's been a lot better than I expected him to be. He's been like my probably highest scoring receiver so far. And I think he'll only get better if Kyler ends up coming back because they're like best buds. And when Kyler was playing last year, Hollywood was doing really good. I think this matchup is going to be really close. It's like I said earlier, it's obviously going to hinge on Christian McCaffrey because he's a large part of my team. And like I said, I don't really know what I'm going to do if he doesn't play. Like I'm going to have to pick up. I don't even know. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah. Help, please help.
Every time I look at T. Higgins' stats, I'm just like, outside of the one game where he had like 12 targets and like popped off,
2 touchdowns.
He has 24 targets, 6 catches for 60 yards. Not happy, Bob.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, luckily, he's on bye week, so he's not going to disappoint you again this week.
Pog.
I think I'm curious how Josh Allen does because New England's defense has been really good, and he had a really rough week in prime. Josh Allen had a really rough week in prime time this week. They could not get anything going. Now And that was against a Giants defense that isn't that good. New England's defense, even without Christian Gonzalez, is fucking good.
True.
Let's pick it, I guess. I keep like running out of things to say and just sitting here. So let's just fucking pick it.
I'm gonna say, like I said earlier, Bijan is gonna get a touchdown. He's probably gonna have his best week of the season, and Reeves is gonna beat me.
Well, I'll pick you just to mix it up.
Fine.
Okay, if CMC's out, I'm picking Reeves. But
That's
otherwise, I will pick you.
That's fair.
All right, we have 2 more matchups to go. I think we will start with. I think my matchup was. Oh fucking balls! My whole computer just like lost its mind. My matchup's the least interesting one, so I think we will go to Steel versus Brett. I mean, Steel's team has been good. We talked about Travis Etienne and DeAndre Swift being probably the best 2 running back combo in the league. Maybe like a couple others are contending, but they're 2 of them.
Sure.
Amari Cooper chugging along like always. He just exists. Every year he's always good for like 10 targets, 6 catches, like 70 yards at least. Like that's what he is. Brandon Ayuk is maybe the most inconsistent receiver in fantasy. Most inconsistent top end receiver outside of T. Higgins. So we said that works. Lamar Jackson is having a really weird season from hell. I kind of think.
It is a little sus to start a tight end at the flex position, which is what Steele is doing. He's starting Jonnu Smith. I can't say that would be something I would do, but he does have a better record than me, so.
Yeah,
but
it's him, Mike Thomas, or Dave Montgomery. Montgomery is not expected to play, I don't think. He missed practice
I'm pretty sure he's not.
His solution is questionable, and then Michael Thomas is there.
I feel like Michael Thomas is similar to one of the receivers we talked about earlier, who I forget who it was, but he's a receiver that's gonna get you like 8 to 10 points. Like that's what you're gonna get from him pretty much every week.
Yeah, I think it was Evan Ingram, or he's just there.
Yeah,
and it's like he doesn't score touchdowns. He doesn't like have big plays.
He'll get like 6 catches for 50 yards, and then that's about it. Just like Evan Ingram, yeah.
Yeah. And on the other side, with Evan Ingram, I mean, Brett started Jordan Love again since Justin Fields is most likely not playing, which is always he is against Denver's defense. So if he's going to have another good week, it needs to be this week.
Oh yeah.
We kind of talked about him having the hot start. He started 6 touchdowns, 0 picks in his first 2 games. The last 3 games, he has 2 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, with 2 rushing touchdowns. So I guess that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. But
he's also starting Romeo Doubs, so he's got that stack. So if they can get a touchdown, that would be huge for Brett's chances. I feel like, I mean, it definitely hurts Brett that Breece Hall's on a bye, and he's got to play Gus Edwards, who he gets like 10 to 12 carries, but hasn't really been that effective. And that, like I said earlier, that Ravens offense isn't great. I feel like Brett's team looks better than it has performed to me. Like Tyreek is obvious. Calvin Ridley can have good weeks. He just doesn't sometimes, for either that being drops or getting focused by the defense. Josh Jacobs against Chicago, which is a pretty good matchup. Their defense sucks. So I think there's definitely an opportunity for him to beat Steele this week. But like you said, Jordan Love needs to perform this week.
Yeah. I think Josh Jacobs kind of mentioned it. Last time Aiden O'Connell started a game, we don't know if it's O'Connell or if it's Brian Hoyer. Last time they had a backup quarterback starting the game, they were against not a good defense, but better than the Bears, I would say, the Chargers. 24 fantasy points, including 11 targets. Which
there was a lot of dump offs.
Yeah. So I think Josh Jacobs is like the guy to watch this week. For Brett, And then, Jordan Love against Denver. It just has to be a thing.
Yep.
Tyreek Hill, he hasn't had many slow games. The Buffalo one was a weird one. But, like, you really cannot afford a slow game from him this week against Philly.
No.
And then I don't expect Calvin Ridley to do much this week against Marcus Lattimore. So we'll see how that one goes. But
especially if Trevor doesn't play, which he may or may not. But
yeah, even with the tight end and a flex thing, to me, this looks like a pretty clear Steele win.
Yeah. I think Steele's, he's definitely the favorite. Like, he probably definitely has the higher chance to win, but I'm going to go with the upset pick. I'm picking Brett.
Okay. Well, some LA favoritism up in this bitch. Obviously, for my power rankings, I would like Brett to be good. But that just has not happened so far. All right, the final matchup, which, like, looking at the thing is completely fucking useless, is me versus Dalton. Currently, the projection has me with a 95% chance to win. Seems insane.
I will say waivers went through today, and he does not have a quarterback that is playing a game this week on his roster. He did pick up Zach Evans, who is supposed to be the starter for the Rams, I think. So he will slot into that empty running back spot.
Right next to Salvin Ahmed.
Yeah, and then he's got Garrett Wilson on a bye, so he's got to put in, like, Cortland Sutton or something. Like, yeah.
Stephon Diggs against New England and Drake London against Tampa Bay are not good matchups. Cole Kmet has a backup quarterback. San Francisco's defense is against Minneapolis, who's been kind of shit and has fumbled the ball. It seems like once every 3 plays they fumble the ball, but I don't. So that's a decent spot, but I don't really think this matchup is important.
No, this is definitely shaping up to be a slaughter from the commish on a mish.
I think if you're looking for something from this matchup, it's to see if my team actually looks serious or if we're just like fucking pretenders.
Yeah, I agree.
Really,
if
to
Chris
see if
Olave can start showing up.
Olave and Eckler, I think, are the 2 big guys.
Yep.
No Thielen this week. So that's a little rough, but like, should be able to win this matchup without Adam Thielen.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Vegas against Chicago with a backup quarterback should be fine.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and write us both in to pick me, unless you really want to pick Dalton and be a fucking psychopath.
I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that'll. I think that'll. I don't know. Any like rants? What you doing this weekend?
Besides your mom?
Oh, y'all are doing Halloween Horror Nights this weekend.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, okay.
We're going down to get scared. It's gonna be lit. And then, well, actually, tomorrow we're having a little Jags watch party at the Bean Pad, so that'll be fun.
We were invited to a murder mystery dinner party on Friday.
What the fuck?
We're all given like roles.
Wait, that sounds lit.
It's either going to be fucking lit or fucking dumb. So we are pre-gaming it. And then I think Trisha and I are detectives is our role. So we have to show up with like fucking magnifying shit.
If everybody like commits to the bit and like is into it, it's going to be lit. But if there's like a couple people who aren't into it, it's going to be lame.
I'm showing Trisha this fucking podcast clip because I've been telling her this for the last week, and she's just bitching about having to go to this party. Her and her friend are bitching. And I'm like, please, stop
bitching, Trisha.
Right. We need to get the fuck out of here. On that note, that's going to call it for season 2, episode 5. Yeah, we're on week like 7 now. But yeah, season 2, episode 5 of the Sim Station Internet Football Podcast. We will see you on the flip-flop. Bye.